Hello, I'm Maria from the Richardson Simple Living, and today's Tuesday, so we come to you with another homeschooling vlog today. I'm going to be discussing today about 5 negatives that we find for homeschooling and 5 pluses that we find for homeschooling. Before we start, yeah, my hair is a different colour. Because you're probably all looking at me, those who watch me regularly, probably looking, she's changed her hair. Because I was blonde last week, well, partially blonde. But yeah, as a lot of you know, probably know that I've been trying to get my colour back to my own colour. And it was starting to look a bit daft because sort of down to there was dark and the rest was this blonde colour. So I got some brown dye and my daughter dyed it for me to try and get all one colour, but I'm not so sure myself. I mean, the colour's nice, don't get me wrong, but I'm not quite sure if it's me. I haven't been brown for over 20 years. I've been blonde, so it's getting some, taking used to. So yes, taking some getting used to, I should say. So yeah, that's that out the way. But anyway, as I was saying, today we're talking about what we find 5 of our negatives and 5 of our pluses for homeschooling. So I've drawn up a list, and I must admit I had to think hard about negatives because there's a lot more positives than there is negatives. So I managed to find 5. I did manage to find 5. So number 1, I would say as a negative, we'll start on the negatives. So number 1 that I would find as a negative for homeschooling is having to pay for your own exams, because they can be quite costly. And as we've discussed previously, and I was actually talking to somebody about it recently, is it can work out quite costly, because if you're taking normal GCSEs and you're having to do coursework that needs assessing, you're going to have to pay for an assessor as well as having to pay for the actual GCSEs. So this was the information that the last time I looked anyway. I'm not sure if it's changed, but I don't think it has, but this is how it was. Unless of course you do IGCSEs, I don't think they have the topic work that needs assessing like a normal GCSE does. But even then you've still got to pay for your exams, and probably if you're doing courses that are associated with it as well, you would have to pay for all of them. So yeah, a negative for homeschooling is if you do want to do a lot of exams, then it will be costly. You've got to pay for them. But we'll talk a bit about that again in the pluses in a moment. Secondly, one I found coming up to Christmas was when you do that secret shopping, when your children have got birthdays and Christmases and you need to go out and find things for them, because yes, you can order off Amazon and put it away secretly, but there's other things that you see in the shops and you want to go and get, but normally they're always with you because they're homeschooled. Most of the time they're with you, so you can't pick them up because they're there. So yeah, it's trying to find time to do the shopping you need to do where you don't want them to see what you're buying. I found that a bit of a problem, and it's working like, somebody say, well, I mean, Sian is old enough to stay on her own, but she won't stay in the house on her own. She doesn't like to be on her own, especially if we've gone far away to the town shopping. So yeah, and if you've got smaller children, obviously, you've got to take them with you, haven't you? So unless you can find someone, you've got to go around looking for somebody to look after your children while you go and do this secret shopping. And it might not be just one trip you can do it in. You might need to do a couple of trips. So it's a bit of a problem. Well, not so much a problem. Well, it might be for some people if they've got no one to look after the children. But it can be, a bit of a pain and a bit of a hassle having to do that. So that is actually one of the things I did find when we started homeschooling was, all the times I used to go to the shops, Sian was in school and I could go to the shops to get what we needed for our birthdays, for Christmas, for anything we were doing, for a surprise occasion or whatever. It was easy, you just went because she was in school, but now I've got to think about it and plan a shopping trip like that. So, that's a bit of a negative as well, really. That's my second negative. My third negative, excuse me looking down at my notes, my third negative is days when you struggle to fit everything in. I mean, I mentioned the other week when we were doing genealogy and I was saying, oh, we'd got to go shopping and then we'd do the genealogy when we came back. But when we came back, the time we came back from shopping, and I'd done a detour around to do flowers on my parents' grave, and you put shopping away. And I was saying about this, well, the day had gone and we didn't get time to do the genealogy. And you planned out other days, so you can't slot it in there. So yeah, it's finding the time sometimes when your days go all manic and hectic. It's finding that time to, you know, do what you'd planned to do. Sometimes you've planned a structured day, or even if you don't do structured days, you might have loosely planned to do some things within the day if it's going somewhere or something, but then something else crops up. So yeah, that can be a bit of a problem. I do find that sometimes, and I sit thinking, oh, I've got to fit this in, I've got to fit that in. And although your days are yours to structure as you please, you know, you can't do everything, can you? Sometimes you're flooded with things to do. Some days just work out like that. And you can't do everything. You're only human. You can't do everything. So something has to give. So I do find that difficult. And a couple of times I have thought, well, if Sian was in school, you know, she wouldn't be missing out on doing this part of her education because I've got to go and do this and whatever. So yeah, I think sometimes when you get the days where you are struggling to do everything you need to do and to fit in the schooling as well that you want to do, that can be a bit of a negative sometimes. So that was number 3. Number 4 on the negatives is distractions. When you're homeschooled, for no fault of your own, sometimes you can get an awful lot of distractions. Things go on in the home, and you know, like if Sian's sat working, she can be easily distracted. Sometimes it's just simple things like the cat will come and sit on her books or whatever she's doing, and Sian won't shoo them off. She'll go, oh, nice cat, nice pussy cat, you know, and stroking it and fussing it. And of course it's more affectionate, and her work's getting squashed underneath and she's forgetting that she's doing her work. And sometimes it can be just visitors. You can get visitors, people coming. It could be anything from as simple as parcel people keep knocking the door. If people order parcels, because like my daughter will order parcels, she's at work, so I take them in. And you know, it can be like constant, you're trying to do something, some one-on-one stuff, and knock at the door, and you've got to keep going, oh, hang on a minute, I'll just go and do this. And you lose your thread of what you're doing there when you get things like that. And people coming to visit, you know, if you've got older children or family that pop round and they don't think, you see, that you're homeschooling, they don't think about that time you need to do that. They just pop round. Not that it's not nice to see them, but if you're trying to do your homeschooling and do that one-on-one time, it can be quite of a problem, really. And phone calls as well. Sometimes I'll get endless phone calls and I'm having to keep saying, Sian, hang on, I'll get back to you in a minute. I've just got to take this call. And that can be a bit of a problem. So distractions. At home, there's more distractions than when they're in the classroom. I know you get some distraction in the classroom, but it's nothing like some days can be at home when it's a constant stream of distraction. So yeah, and Sian's easily put off. She's quite happy to put books down and go and do something else and listen to, you know, whoever's come to visit, chat with them, or sit petting the cats, and wanted to take the dog a walk. And you know, she's easily distracted anyway, so distractions can be a problem. It's not so bad if she's doing some self-led things like she does in the afternoons, but if you're doing a bit of structured work, like I needed to do a bit of maths every day, I do want her to keep practicing that. So if you're doing something structured, it can be a bit of a problem then, because you just want to do that because she's got all the afternoon then to do her other things. So yeah, that was number 4, distractions. Number 5 is tantrums. That was something I had to get used to. The first few weeks, homeschooling was brilliant, but we were very much mimicking school. But as time got on, Sian's sort of, well, it's me mum, and you know, I can have tantrums if she's struggling with something, or you know, she gets het up about things. Whereas in the classroom, she wouldn't say nothing, but here she can have a complete meltdown or just blow a gasket, you know, and it sort of it puts a dampener on everything you're doing then, sort of gets you down and think, am I doing the right thing? Would she be better off back in school? So yeah, that's our fifth one, is tantrums. So we'll talk about our pluses now then. Some of the pluses do actually make up for the negatives. We'll see in a minute. So our 5 pluses, there was plenty of pluses, but I tried to pick 5 of the main ones. I tried to think back to when I first started and what sort of things entered my mind doing homeschool, and the good things and the bad things, you know, so I've tried to think about that. So the pluses, number 1, you're free to learn anything you want and learn it anywhere you want. So you don't have to follow a school curriculum. Granted, when we first started, we followed Key Stage 3 things, not exactly everything school do, because there's some things that I disagreed with, which is one reason I didn't want to do secondary school. So I don't touch them at all. But like your main lessons, your history, geography, sciences, I'd got the Key Stage 3 books for them. And yes, we were still working through them, but we're nearly at an end for them, probably at the end of this year. But we're more relaxed about doing it now. So that used to get us et up before, you see. But we're more relaxed with that now. So yeah, you're free to learn anything. So I can chuck all the books in the bin if I want and do what she wants to do. It's like when we first started homeschooling, we did morning lessons, we broke off for dinner, then we did afternoon lessons. We don't do that now, not as a structured day. We do a couple of hours in the morning structured work, break off, and then in the afternoon, Sean does all the self-led things. She picks what she wants to do, and I find she learns an awful lot doing that. And also, like I was saying, you're free to learn anything anywhere. You don't have to learn it in the home. You can go out for the day and learn something. I've had to go to people's houses in the past when I've had bereaved relatives, and I've had to go and do things. So Sean obviously comes along with me, and we just do a little folder. I print sheets off, and we took a folder of work related to what she would have been doing out of a bookwork, but we just printed off sheets and took it, and you know, sort of schooling on the go sort of thing. But you could take a walk, and you could take activity sheets for a woodland walk. You can make up things as you go along on a walk, you know, things to find, things to do, and plan things, and anything's educational really, anywhere. So yeah, that's the plus side of it. You can get to do all those things. Number 2 is your time schedule to suit your family. So you can pick your times. Like I was just saying, we do structured work a couple of hours in the morning, finish, have lunch, dinner, whatever you call it, and then in the afternoon Sean does self-led work. So our time schedule, we can pick it. We don't have to be up to catch a bus in the morning like they do when they go to school. So we've got no particular time to get up. If Sean's not feeling she wants to get up majorly early, then we just leave her, because we know we've only got to do a couple of hours. It only takes a couple of hours to do the structured work that we need, well, not need to do, but we want to do from her Key Stage 3 books or whatever we're doing. So yeah, she can get up late if she wants. I mean, quite often she starts her schooling at 10:30, whereas when we first started, it was about 9 o'clock and 9:30. But we've sort of slipped back an hour now. It's more 10:30. But then whether that's because of the winter mornings, they're darker. In summer it might be different. Nice and bright, you get up early and you might want to go outdoors and do something. Because like I say, we want to do some gardening with her outdoors and that in summer as well. So see a bit more homesteady stuff when we do that. At the moment, there's nothing really going on to show you out there anyway. But yeah, see, even that, we can just say, right, we're going out in the garden today and we're going to do some learning out there. So time schedule is great. You can start and finish when you like, and whatever it is to suit you. Number 3 of my pluses is choosing whether to take exams. Like Sean doesn't really want to at the moment, but she might change her mind, she might not. It's another reason why we've been sticking loosely to the Key Stage 3 things, just in case she changes her mind. I mean, by the end of year 9, I will say, do you want to do them? And if she says no, well, we'll leave it at that, and we'll do our own thing, and we'll look for something, not corresponding, but, you know, something else she can do, like maybe some courses or something like that. I don't know, that's all sort of at the end of year 9. We're only in year 8 and not even at the end of that yet, so we'll think about that another day. So yeah, she can choose. She doesn't have to sit them. Like when you're at school, you've got to sit them. So she can choose whether she has to sit them. So like one of my negatives, and the number 1 negative was you've got to pay for your exams. Well, obviously that won't matter so much if we're not sitting them. But if anybody is sitting exams, or if Sean chooses to sit them, then obviously we would have to pay. But yeah, she's got that choice whether she wants to take them or not, and also what she wants to take. Because if you're in school, obviously when you've picked your choices, your options, and you stick to that curriculum of your options, that's with aim to taking GCSEs from all of them. So you'll be doing all of them. Whereas if you're home tutored, homeschooling, you can just pick which exams you want to take. You haven't got to take all of them. You can pick whichever you want to take. And also when you want to take them, you haven't got to take them like school does at the end of year 11. You could take them earlier. I mean, Sian could sit some now if she wanted to. She could do them any age, or she could do them like in years 12 and 13. I have to think about the years now, because when I was at school, once you'd left primary school, you just started year 1, year 2, year 3 at secondary. But now I have to think, because it's one big long continuation of numbers. So I have to think which year is what corresponds to when I was there. So yeah, you can take them sort of what would have been your 6th form years, or probably still is your 6th form years. I mean, you don't even have to take them when you're at school, do you? Like, I could go and sit some now, although I've got all my CSEs that I went for, but they weren't GCSEs then. CSEs, O-levels and A-levels. But yeah, if I wanted to go and do more, I could go and do some now. So it's optional. The choice is there. It's the freedom of that choice. And, you know, it's not so pressured then either, because if you do want to take an exam, even if you just want to take the one, you can take it when you're ready. You haven't got to be forced into it like at school. Whenever you're ready and feel you can do it, you know. But just like I say, the negative to that is you've got to pay for yourself. You've got to pay for your own exams or your children's exams, which if you want to take a lot and you've got a few children, that would be expensive. So yeah, my number 4 plus, no uniforms. School can be very costly in the sense of uniforms, and you know, having to buy them for every lesson more or less, like your PE uniforms. And when I was at school and when the others were at school, you had to have special things for science, and you know, buying things like that. And uniforms aren't cheap nowadays. School, they require blazers and ties, shirts, trousers, skirts, socks, special socks for this, that and the other. Even when I was at school, you even had to wear navy blue knickers. So, you know, it was all costly. You had to have all the stuff, and they'd give you the name of shops where you'd go and buy all this stuff. So you had to buy their special things. So yeah, you've got no uniforms to buy. And also, apart from that, you haven't got to keep up with everybody else in the class either. So no uniforms, and you haven't got to conform with anybody, whether it's with your clothing, whether it's, you know, how clever you are, whether you're higher up in the class, lower in the class, you can't get picked on for it, because a lot of people get picked on for what they wear and how they fit in the classroom, you know. So you haven't got none of that, so that's a plus. And the big one, I think, for most people, my number 5, is taking time off when you need it. So time for holidays. We haven't got to I take school holidays when the schools do. Sean's continued to do that because obviously she's got friends at school, so that's a good time to associate with them and have a time with her friends. But we haven't got to go on holiday during the school holidays, the official school holidays, because they're really expensive. The prices are double or triple what they are out of season. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. So yeah, we haven't got to do that then. We're having a holiday out of season this year, so that will be a lot cheaper. It is a lot cheaper. It's an awful lot cheaper. So yeah, that is one of the pluses. I think most people find that as a big plus, is being able to take holidays or day trips when, you know, everyone else is in school. I like day trips when everyone's in school because everywhere is quieter, and because I get anxious. I suffer social anxiety, so I don't like a lot of people in busy places too much. So that is better for me, and Sean likes it better as well. You've got more freedom to explore things and talk about things, and you know, there's no pushing, shoving, lots of queues and that for anywhere. So yeah, that's number 5. So that's it really, our 5 negatives and our 5 pluses. So my 5 negatives is having to pay for exams is one negative with homeschooling. Second one is my secret shopping if you need to go somewhere, you know, to get something for your child and you don't want them to see. My third one is struggling to fit everything in a day, because some days you just cannot do it. Not like when they're at school, they're getting their education and you're getting on with what you're doing at home. There are days when you're going to struggle and to get everything in, and you can't always do it. You have to give up on those days. They're not very often, but they do occur once in a while. Distractions is another downside to homeschooling. You can easily get a lot of distractions, and tantrums. They're more prone to have tantrums with the mother than what they are with the school teacher. My 5 pluses, as a recap, are free to learn anything and anywhere. Time schedule to suit your family and suit them. Number 3 is choosing whether they want to take exams, what they want to take them in, and when to take them, what age, when they're ready. Number 4 is no uniforms and not having to conform to a class full of children and, you know, be like everybody else. And I suppose amongst that actually is not getting the peer pressure as well, because there's an awful lot of peer pressure at school into doing things that sometimes you don't want your children to know about or do. So yeah, you're free to sort of discuss things in your own time with your children about certain subjects that you'd rather the peers didn't sort of get involved with. So there's that as well. Number 5 as well, free to have holidays whenever you please, not just in the school holiday times. So yeah, they're my 5 pluses and my 5 negatives. So that's it for today. Now, I'm not going to be back on Friday again. You're not going to see me again until a week today, Tuesday of next week. I've got a lot on this weekend. I might even just stick to a Tuesdays for the foreseeable future. We shall see. But I shan't be back this Friday. It'll be a week on Tuesday because I have got some things to do this week. And I did manage to get on top of all the taxes that I was going to do last week. Oh, there was a lot more than I thought. Loads to do. I haven't done any since, I think it was August last year. I thought I was doing well with it, but I'd obviously got behind a long way. So I did manage to catch up with that. But I've got some other things to do this week. So I shall see you now a week on Tuesday, this time next week. So until then, have a good week and weekend and take care of yourselves, and I'll see you then. Bye.